Leadership in Islam is not about ruling over others, but about serving them with justice and mercy. The world today is in crisis, not because of lack of resources, but because of lack of righteous leadership. Today I want to speak about a subject that touches every one of us, whether we realize it or not, and that is leadership. The Quran provides timeless guidance. Yet, our current condition shows that we have missed many opportunities to live by that guidance. Allah tells us in Surah An-Nisa, "Indeed, Allah commands you to render trusts to whom they are due, and when you judge between people to judge with justice." Leadership in Islam is a trust, an amana. It is not a privilege or a position to be exploited, it is a responsibility before Allah. But sadly, in many Muslim societies today, leadership is treated as a prize to be won, not a trust to be carried with humility and justice. History gives us examples of how Quranic guidance was applied. When Hazrat Abu Bakr, blessings of Allah be upon him, became the first caliph, his initial words were not of authority but of service. He stated, "The weak among you shall be strong with me until I secure their rights, and the strong among you shall be weak with me until I take from them what is due." This exemplifies the spirit of Quranic leadership: humility, service, and accountability. The Quran also provides criteria for choosing leaders. From the story of Prophet Yusuf, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, we learn two qualities of a true leader: knowledge and trustworthiness. Prophet Yusuf, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Place me in charge of the treasures of the land. I am a good keeper and know my tasks well." He did not seek power for its own sake. He offered himself because he had the competence and honesty to safeguard the people's resources. Imagine if we applied these two qualities today, competence and trustworthiness, how many of our crises could be avoided? But instead of these Quranic standards, we often select leaders based on wealth, tribal ties, or popularity. The Quran reminds us, "Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you." Yet righteousness is rarely our standard in political and social life. And when we ignore this guidance, we should not be surprised at the consequences: corruption, injustice, and failed governance. Leadership failures are not just political problems, they are moral failures. The Quran warns against consuming the wealth of people unjustly. How many times do we see leaders misuse public funds, enriching themselves while their nations suffer in poverty? This is a direct violation of God's command. Accountability is at the heart of leadership, and those who are given authority will be questioned more severely than ordinary people. It is also important to remember that leadership is not only about rulers, it is about the ruled as well. Allah praises those who conduct their affairs by mutual consultation, shura. When people stop engaging, when they stop holding leaders accountable, injustice spreads. Missed opportunities are not only because of corrupt rulers but also because of silent societies. Leadership in Islam is a two-way relationship built on justice, truth, and responsibility. So the question is, how do we return to the Quranic vision of leadership? We cannot expect sudden change at the top if our communities and families do not practice these values. We need to begin where we are, in our homes, in our workplaces, in our organizations. Justice, accountability, humility, and service should guide our small circles before we demand them from our rulers. Education is crucial here. Our youth must be taught that leadership is not a throne but a trust, not about honor but about responsibility. Allah has given us a promise in the Quran. In Surah An-Nur he says, "Allah has promised those among you who believe and do righteous deeds that he will grant them succession upon the earth." But the condition is belief and righteous deeds. When we abandon these, we lose the opportunity for rightful leadership. When we return to them, Allah's promise comes to life. In conclusion, the Quran has already given us the principles of leadership: justice, trust, humility, accountability, and consultation. What is missing is not guidance but the will to implement it. We have the book, we have the example of the Prophet and his companions, and we have the lessons of history. The challenge before us today is whether we will continue to miss the opportunities for just and righteous leadership, or whether we will rise and act upon what Allah has revealed. May Allah guide us to uphold leadership as an amana. May He give us leaders who are just and people who are truthful, and may He make us worthy of His promise.